Hey, today I'm going to get back to a more traditional hard times format. I'm going to talk about a variety of people, places, and things. And as I do, I hope that one central theme or one story emerges from that. Enough for the intro. Let's get to it. I want to talk to you for a minute about Brown County. Brown County, Indiana, and a little crossroads community called Bean Blossom. The first thing I want to tell you is that my favorite place in Brown County is a primitive log cabin home, and it's the home of my youngest daughter, her husband, and their dogs. My youngest daughter's family lives in Browns County, and that's my favorite place to go in Brown County. My next favorite place to go in Brown County is in Bean Blossom. And if you don't know where Bean Blossom is, it is a little crossroads community at the junction where Indiana State Road 45 ends at Indiana State Road 135. Right at that intersection is a place called Plum Creek Antiques. And that's my second favorite place in Brown County. I don't know that it's my third favorite place in Brown County, but the Fruitdale Fire Department is also there. Fruitdale Volunteer Fire Department. And during the spring, summer, and fall months, they have a monthly fish fry. And that's just an excellent place to plan a day trip to. Find out when they're going to have their fish fry. Go there on that day. While you're there, stop and see Plum Creek Antiques. And the third thing that's there at Bean Blossom is the Bill Monroe Museum and Music Park. Got a bluegrass music museum there. It's well worth your time to spend some time there. There's I don't know how many acres it is, but there's a park there, and they host bluegrass music festivals there. Today I want to talk to you for a few minutes about cistern pumps. I'm going to show you some various types of what I'm calling a cistern pump, because a cistern pump actually isn't a pump, it's an elevator. It's an elevator system to elevate water out of a cistern. So if you don't know what a cistern is, you're going to have to go Google that and find out. But I'm going to assume you know what a cistern is, and we're talking about a cistern pump. First thing I'm going to do is show you this. This is the top from a cistern pump. This particular one has seen some hard times. Got a big dent in the top of it. Got another dent in the end of it. It's got a little rust, or maybe a lot of rust. Beginning to overcome it. Got a torn place in the skirt there where it's been damaged. This particular one is a GEM, G-E-M, and that's a brand of what I'm calling a cistern pump. In the pictures that I promised to show you, probably already seen one like this. I just recently bought this, and the reason I bought it was to make this video with, because I'm not even going to tell you why, because you're going to understand it as the video goes on. This, you've probably already seen these two all chained together and laying on the ground. It's part of a cistern elevator system called Boss, and those were patented. Says on there, I think it's, I don't know, what it says. I can't read it, but they were patented in the early 1900s, and these all go together in a chain. There's a pin goes through it here, and a pin goes through it here, and you just put them in succession, and they form a chain or a belt of buckets. These buckets go down into the cistern, and they turn around a sprocket at the bottom or a pulley at the bottom, and they come up, and they're full of water, and as they go over the top, they spill the water out of them and into a basin that catches it, and it goes out a spout. I've got some chalk drawings that you're going to see now. It's going to illustrate that. The drawing on the left is one of a cistern elevator like this. The one on the right is one where there is a sprocket driven chain, and that chain can do it can also carry buckets made out of metal. Some of them were made out of metal, some of them were made out of rubber. They do the same thing. They go down in the cistern, they pick up water, they come up over the top. You're probably looking at it now, and my chalk drawing, it shows one kind on the left, one kind on the right, the front taking off the case of the elevator system. You turn a hand crank and it drives this belt, and it dumps the water, and it comes out a spout. That's how they work. There's the one on the right had a sprocket. It had a chain. Instead of having the big sleeve around the whole thing, it had two cylindrical pipes, probably about 2 inches in diameter, and those extended down into the cistern. The chain had a rubber washer or gasket on it every 12 inches, 15 inches, something like that, and it forced water into the pipe and kept it there until it got up at the top and come out into the open. That water splashed out into a basin, went out the spout, just like the bucket elevator system did, only it was a rubber gasket enclosed in a pipe. Alright, so now you're familiar with what I'm calling a cistern pump is, and I can go on with the story. There's a place, and I think I've already mentioned it, in Bean Blossom called Plum Creek Antiques. When you go there, you're going to meet usually a couple of people. One's Paul, and the other is Paulette, and they're husband and wife. I can't tell you even what their last name is. I don't know what their last name is. If I ever did, I forgot it. But Paul and Paulette at the Plum Creek Antiques shop. And it's just a delightful place to go to. But I already said it's my second favorite place to go to in Brown County. They have a myriad of miscellaneous primitive antiques and merchandise and other odds and ends like you won't find hardly in any other antique shop. They have a wide assortment of antiquated things that you can buy. This is February 2025. They're closed. I anticipate they're going to reopen in the spring. They closed in at the end of October last year. I think they're going to reopen in the spring. They had been being open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't think they're going to be open that often in the spring, but I'll leave that up to them. They told me last year they're going to cut their hours back even more than they had been. So maybe they're going to be open one day, maybe they're going to be open two. I don't know. I do hope they're open. They had the place for sale last year and it didn't sell. They're not as old as me, but they think they're getting old, and they think they want to slow down, and they think they want to not do what they're doing anymore. They want to go on to other things in their life, and I wish them all the best, but I just love their place. And I've told you everything that I've told you up until now in this story about the cistern pumps and that, to tell you that I wanted to make a video. Those of you who watch my channel know I make videos about different places, different people, different things. And I wanted to make a video about their shop. So I was up there one day and I was talking to Paul on the outside, and I said, boy, I'd like to make a video here. Explained to him about my channel, explained to him that I made videos, said I'd like to make a video and just put it on my YouTube channel about your store. He kind of chuckled. He said, you're going to have to talk to the boss about that. And those of you that know me and know of me and my lovely wife, Betty, you know that we've been married for next week, I think. What is today? I think Friday's the coming Friday's the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, and the Friday after that is my wedding anniversary, the 21st, and this upcoming wedding anniversary will be 61 years the two of us have been married. Well, you can't stay married to the same woman for 61 years without knowing exactly what Paul meant when he said you're going to have to talk to the boss. That meant I had to go talk to Paulette, and I picked up on that real quick, so I said okay. And he began to tell me that she'd had some bad experience already with making a video, and I said that's all right. I'm going to go talk to her about it anyway, and I did. I went and talked to her about it, and I thought just in a whip stitch I'd be able to talk her into letting a friendly old guy like me make a video, but no, it didn't work out the way I'd planned, and she wouldn't relent to me making a video about Plum Creek Antiques. She'd had some bad experience with a production company that made a video there, and it didn't go like she had hoped it would. It didn't go like she felt that they told her it would, and so she wasn't willing to trust me to make a video. So I had to leave there that day with the idea I wasn't going to make a video, but I'm a persistent old guy, and I thought, over time I'll convince her to let me make a video. Well, one of the things that they had there, among the many things that they have, actually they had more than one. They had at least three, maybe more than that. Cistern pumps, the kind of thing that I started this video telling you about, explaining to you about, showing you examples of. They had some there, and they had some in various stages of disrepair. All their cistern pumps that they had were like this gem bonnet from a cistern pump. They had seen hard times, and they had one, and I think it was not a gem but probably a boss, and it had seen hard times. Indeed, it was missing its top or its bonnet. Wasn't it? The cistern pump was there. Of course, hardly any of them have what I call the guts, the chain and the buckets, or the chain and whatever carries the water out of the cistern. Those are gone from almost all of them nowadays. You don't find those, but you find the rest of it, the case, the crank, what's inside it with the spout, the bonnet. You find that. People set them around in their garden. People put them on their porch. They use them for decoration. When you find one that's in pristine condition, it's got some old hardware or mercantile store advertising on it, stenciled on it, man, those things will bring a lot of money. Just an ordinary one will bring, in not too good a shape, sometimes over $100. If you find a good one, they bring multiple hundreds of dollars. And that's why I don't own them anymore. I've owned lots of them, bought them years ago you could buy them for $15, $20 and sell them for $40 or $50. And I used to buy them and sell them all the time, but they've become more and more scarce, and you can't find them anymore. But anyway, I regress. Paul and Paulette had 2 or 3 of them sitting outside their building there in various stages of disrepair. And they had one that was missing the top, missing the bonnet. I thought, the bonnet that was exactly like the one they needed. I thought, I've got one of those. And so I came home, began to look for it. And I looked for it over here in the barn. I looked for it out there in my other buildings. I knew I had that thing. I looked everywhere I could think of, looking for it, couldn't find it. And after 3 or 4 days, where I had spent some time each day when I was between paint drying and something else and whatever project I was working on, I'd look for that thing. I couldn't find it. Finally, I decided, well, I got Betty to help me, and she come out, and we both went all through the barn looking for it, couldn't find it. Finally decided I must have just, well, we never found it. Couldn't find that thing, so I finally decided that maybe I'd sold that at a yard sale, and because it was such a insignificant thing, and I just couldn't remember selling it, and so it was gone, and I couldn't remember where it went. The next time I went to Bean Blossom, or the next time I had an opportunity to stop at Plum Creek Antiques, great little antique shop in Bean Blossom, Indiana, at the junction of 135 and 45. Next time I had the opportunity to stop there, I was talking to the folks, and I was talking to Paulette, and I was talking to her about some music that she had playing while I was in there, and I liked her music, and asked her about some people that I liked to listen to that were similar, and if she had heard of them, she hadn't. So we talked about Blaze Foley and Towns Van Zandt, and some people like that. And I told her the story about how I intended to come up and bribe her with a cistern pump bonnet that I had, but I couldn't find it. So she said she probably would have liked to buy that from me, but my little plan to bribe her with it probably wouldn't have worked out. So anyway, we let that go. And things went on. Well, later on in the summer, I was over here in the barn one day, and right on the other side of this wall, there's a shelf sitting there on the floor. It's probably got 3 or 4 shelves on it. It's got some coffee cans with paintbrushes, and I think there's a crock or two and some other things on it. And right on the bottom shelf of it, I was walking by there looking for something, and right down there on the bottom shelf was my cistern pump bonnet, sitting there on the shelf, hiding in plain sight. So I thought, oh, you little rascal. And I picked it up and went and put it in my truck, because the next time I didn't want to sell it to somebody or be tempted to sell it to somebody. Next time I went to Bean Blossom, I was going to take that thing up there with me. So that's what I did. And it turns out it was I think it might have been the last weekend that they were open last year. It was during it was in October. They were having a real busy day in the store because people believe the propaganda that Brown County leaves are the best leaves to look at in Indiana, and that, of course, isn't true. Anybody that's got hilly terrain with hardwood trees on it have good leaves in October in southern Indiana. But anyway, people believe that, and they go to Brown County and look at the leaves, and this was one of those times and one of those days, and they were busy in the store. And I stopped there, and cistern pump top in my hand, and went in and didn't see Paulette anywhere, so went and found Paul, and I told him, I said, I brought this up here, it's going to give it to Paulette. And he looked at it, he said, oh, it's cistern pump top. I said, yeah. You used to have one sitting out there at the end of the building, didn't have a top on it, and I think this top fitted. He said, well, I think that's still around here somewhere. I said, I looked out there, I didn't see it. He said, well, look again. He said, I think we still got that somewhere. So I did. I went and looked for it, and I found it out there next to the fence outdoors, and I put that top on there. That thing was, it was just exactly what I thought it was. It fit right on there perfect. So I told Paul about how I was going to bribe Paulette with it, and he said it probably wouldn't work. And I said, yeah, that's what she said. But I just gave it to him. I said, I want to give you this. And of course he thanked me for it, and we put it on there and took a picture of him behind it. And I think there's even a picture of he and I standing there with the picture pump with the top I gave him on it. So it was a good day, turned out good. The only thing was Paulette wasn't there. She had worked the day before, and Paul had it by himself this day. I think it was, I don't know, I think I was there on a Saturday, and maybe it was Friday she'd worked, or could have been Friday and Thursday, I don't know. But didn't get to see Paulette, so still got to tell you my story about the cistern pump lid. Got to tell you about my second favorite place in Brown County, Paul and Paulette and their antique shop, Plum Creek Antiques. Well, I hope you're not confused, or hope you didn't get confused today and think this video was about Plum Creek Antiques in Bean Blossom, Indiana, at the intersection of State Road 45 and 135. This video isn't about that. This video is about cistern pumps and other sundry things that you might find in an antique shop. I never did get permission to make a video about Plum Creek Antiques, but I wished I had, because Paul and Paulette, just two wonderful people. I'd like to be able to call them my friends, but we're acquaintances. I stop in their store. We don't have, geography keeps us apart too much for us to have really made a bond and formed a friendship, but they're wonderful folks. They're friendlies. I can't call them friends because I just put too much of a connotation on the word friend. Friend is a special thing with a special bond. I'm sure over time, Betty and I could form such a bond with Paul and Paulette, but I'll call them friendlies right now and tell you that you'll find them the same way, to be the same way I've described them. Wonderful people. They got a wonderful place of business. Don't miss it if you're in Brown County. They're just 4 or 5 miles up the road from Nashville, and it's worth the extra trip if you're in Nashville or anywhere close to Plum Creek Antiques. I'd like to went around in their business with a camera and took you on a little tour of the place, but I never got permission to do that, and so I couldn't make a video about them and their place. But maybe you got the hint, or you got the message from watching this little video about cistern pumps, and one of these days you'll stop in and meet Paul and Paulette at Plum Creek Antiques. Until the next time, hope you have a good day. I'm a Hard Times guy.